Hill that they're calling it a masterclass. Bondi clashed with lawmakers today as she faced questions on a number of controversial moves by the Trump administration. They grilled her on everything from Jeffrey Epstein to President Trump's National Guard deployment, and her strategy was effectively to deflect and attack.
You're welcome to discuss this with Director Patel. I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, Senator. That's pending litigation, and I can't discuss that at all. I am not going to discuss pending cases. I can't discuss anything regarding that matter. As I stated earlier, that is still a pending matter. I am not going to discuss anything that is ongoing. I have had no meetings or discussions about a fund. I am not going to talk about personnel matters with you. I'm not going to discuss any legal advice.
Temidayo Aganga-Williams joins us in our fifth seat. Temidayo, I don't think this is a surprise if you've been paying attention to the Trump administration's performance on Capitol Hill, but it does seem to be like a low point for congressional oversight, if that is a thing anymore.
I think it is, and I think it's a low point for the Department of Justice. And I think when I was an assistant U.S. attorney working at the DOJ, if I were to look and see that that was my attorney general, the person that was supposed to stand for independence, for the rule of law, for the application, to the fair application of justice, I don't think I would leave feeling confident about that. I think the way the Attorney General sidestepped and pointed questions about Thomas Homan, for example, right, taking $50,000 in a bag, and the DOJ not choosing to prosecute that case. I think I would leave feeling that this department was not focused on what was good for the American people, but was focused on an audience of one and acting as the president's lawyers. And that's exactly what undermines the faith and trust we should be having in our Department of Justice.
I actually think it's more than an audience of one, and I'll tell you why. Because remember how she took some hits earlier this year from Laura Loomer types because of the Epstein files and because of her performance. And so I think the fact that we're talking about her and just the way that she was so antagonistic is actually a good thing for her when it comes to her stock with the MAGA base and with Trump. I'll tell you, for me, this was sad. I could only stand to watch it so long because I have known Pam Bondi for a very long time. I knew her when she was Attorney General of Florida, and she was a nice Southern girl. She was completely different than the performance you saw today. When I see that Pam Bondi today, I see somebody that has changed 180 degrees. I don't know which Pam Bondi is the real Pam Bondi. I don't know which Pam Bondi is auditioning for an Oscar, for Best Supporting Dramatic Actor. But she, it's just a completely different person. But it's also symptomatic of what's happened to many former moderate Republicans that have completely done lobotomies during the Trump age.
To your point about the Jeffrey Epstein thing, I do think this is a big part of the picture. Let me just play what she said back in February about Epstein. And then when she was asked about it today, here's what she said.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. If you see our memo on Epstein, you will see, our memo on Epstein clearly points out that there was no client list, our July 6th memo.
Well, the real Pam Bondi, please stand up.
Shouldn't she have to explain that?
Explain her comments on Epstein earlier, or or why the Democrats suddenly have an interest in Epstein where they didn't
explain why she said it was on my desk, I'm reviewing it, and then she turns around and says in the congressional hearing it doesn't even exist. And isn't that a legitimate line of inquiry for Congress, especially since Congress is set to vote on this very set of issues? Again, some of this is just about there are legitimate questions for the Attorney General. Shouldn't she answer them?
No, Congress is set to vote on this. There's a discharge petition that is on the House floor that needs one more vote as soon as the special election, I believe.
As soon as they swear in the woman who won in Arizona.
This election. All right,
they just have to swear her in.
Hold your horses.
Why?
He knows the game well, guys. Don't worry.
But in the case of that question, that was not artfully answered, right? But there was a compound question leading into it. It was, oh, we're reviewing the JFK files, we're reviewing the Epstein files, all of this. They pumped it up too much. They pumped it up too much.
Look,
He's in a pretzel. I'm sorry. That's your first time on the show. You're doing your best with this Epstein.
Nice try. But I listen.
A compound
He said it was a
question
compound
that was going to a diagram.
I'm just saying I've been there.
And then there was a run-on, and then there was a typo.
Listen, the point is not the Epstein rabbit hole, okay? The point is, are there legitimate questions for congressional members, for senators, congresspeople to ask? I mean, here she was asked by Dick Durbin about the plan to send the National Guard from Texas to Chicago. Listen to this exchange.
What a disappointment. Here she is, Attorney General of the United States, competent individual, well-spoken individual, and wouldn't answer basic questions, came in ready to fight.
I have never seen anything close to it in terms of the combativeness, the evasiveness, and sometimes deceptiveness. I think it is possibly a new low.
They are going to transfer Texas National Guard units to the state of Illinois. What's the rationale for that?
Yeah, Chairman, as you shut down the government, you voted to shut down the government, and you're sitting here, our law enforcement officers aren't being paid. They're out there working to protect you. I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump. And currently, the National Guard are on the way to Chicago. If you're not going to protect your citizens, President Trump will.
I mean, look, if she's running for office, that would be a great answer. But she is in a seat that is accountable to Congress. I mean, that's what oversight is for.
Well, being from Texas, I mean, the Texas National Guard going to Chicago, there is a reason. And it's because we know there was a stand-down order given to not protect ICE agents.
She didn't provide it. I mean, she's the Attorney General. Shouldn't she be able to explain the rationale, the legal basis on which they're making that move?
President Trump is making that move. And moving the National Guard up there to protect ICE agents because Chicago, the city of Chicago, did a stand-down order and is not protecting ICE agents from radicals inside their city.
All right.
And in fact, not only that, they're encouraging it from the, we've got the governor out there encouraging it.
So, violent crime, and I know you like California, so you like to pick on California, but violent crime is 39% higher in Texas than it is in California.
Well,
okay, and Chicago just got done with the least amount of murders in a summer since 1965. Yeah, so don't let facts get in the way.
When you don't arrest people or put people in jail, you can
murder?
create whatever statistics you want in
But let's
California.
also say this. If we want to go back to get away from the facts and go back to what Pam Bondi did today, it was great if you were a criminal defendant. The way she bobbed and weaved, the way she refused to answer questions, the way she deflected. But as you were saying, as the leader of someone, and you're supposed to have that level of independence, neither one of you all can articulate without even, just don't say Joe Biden. But you cannot say that this Department of Justice is acting independently without mentioning the words Joe Biden.
She dodged that question, too, about the independence of the DOJ, which has definitely been called into question since Trump literally called her out in a social media post and said she wasn't doing her job.
Yeah, and I think we have to go past calling it the question. I mean, the Department of Justice just openly is not independent anymore. And once we lose that, I think we've lost kind of a critical pillar of our criminal justice system here. I think what was so sad to watch, and one point here is that she sidestepped so many important questions where she could have stood up for the men and women who are actually in law enforcement. We saw the juxtaposition of her both defending basically the Jan 6 insurrectionists in one regard, and those pardons there, and President Trump's actions there, and then comparing that to the men and women who are being taken away from doing the actual work. Dick Durbin talked about this. You have task forces that are being disbanded, and instead of doing the work of focusing on terrorism and focusing on violent crime, you have those same FBI agents, those same DA agents now doing other work, doing immigration enforcement. Now, those are priorities that a president can choose for his executive branch. That is true. But what the Attorney General should be doing is speaking to what is best for actual justice, what is best for criminal enforcement, what is best for crime reduction. She isn't a political actor. The Attorney General should not be going to Congress and, in my view, acting as a political actor. They should be acting on behalf of the rule of law, and I don't think we saw that today.
I'm dumbfounded by this independence thing. I mean, we're talking about an FBI under Biden who spied on sitting U.S. senators. We're talking about dozens of Trump officials arrested and put in jail. We have people put in jail.
They didn't spy.
Steve Bannon went to jail.
Hold on a second. As we've said,
he had his day in court and he had a jury.
Many times.
Politicization.
Hal, you're saying all that, but if you're going to say that, You got to show me the evidence that any of that was directed by Joe Biden. Now, I can show you evidence of Donald Trump directing investigations into James Comey,
Correct.
into Letitia James, into all of these other people. But if you can provide me evidence of Joe Biden directing the prosecution of any of those people, then we can come back and we'll have another segment on
the
it. and
Biden
we'll talk
administration,
through it.
Joe Biden
But I don't
was-
think that evidence exists. I know, in fact, I know it doesn't exist.
Well, they didn't have an auto pin for that.
The supposition is all you're going on, but that's not enough to prove weaponization. It's just not enough.
Right.
You have to have actual
and it's the same DOJ
All right.
that prosecuted
We got to
Joe
go here,
Biden's
folks.
son.
Temidayo, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate you.